Been flying a little while now, so we'll switch to tanks. Keep the aircraft well balanced. Onto the right tank now, which has a bit more fuel, as you can see here. Left tank, right tank. And with these slight gusts of wind, as we get closer now, you can see the autopilot having a hard time staying on the 320 radio. It's getting blown around a little bit, which is completely normal and just fine. I think that's Riverside Airport off to the left there. Staying away from that. 2 miles to go. 1 minute until we arrive. So at about 1 mile, we'll go first into straight. Because it simply won't be able to keep up with the needle too well, that close. 1.2, 1.1 coming up. There it is. And 1 mile. So autopilot mode now, we'll click it twice. High track, straight. So we're going to hold this now, straight and level. Get a little bit closer, and then we'll click it once again to go into heading hold, which will turn us around to 049. Now, so the aircraft's going to start turning. We'll switch the Davtron now to from, and we'll tune this round to 049. So just rolling this around now, 030, 040, 045, 49. It's about as accurate as I can get it from. And we're already on the 001 radial, 002, 003, 4, 5. Okay, so we are a little bit off in terms of our course. You can see here the needle showing us the course is off to the right, so we'll keep on turning. Try to intercept that 049 radial. I do need to be climbing up now to about 4,000 feet, so altitude hold can come off. Increase the power for the climb. 28 radial. Climb on up to 4,000 feet, as in the published procedure. 32 radial. 35, 36, 37, 38. Let's turn a little bit more here. And as we come up on 49, we'll use heading hold to go round to 49 here and get ourselves established, then put it into low track again. It's 3,000 feet, climbing nicely. 42. 44. See the needles moving. 45. So let's start our turn back now. 46. 'Still a little bit off. Just playing with the heading hold here to find that radial. Gentle, gentle turns. Coming up on 4,000 feet as well. So once again, powering off now. Altitude hold at 4,000. There, blue light comes on. Bring the power back to 2200. It wants me to trim. Nope, it seems okay. 48. Okay. Let's turn this around to 49 now. And we'll put this into track low. And we are established on roughly the 049 radial away from Seal Beach. So nav1 from Seal Beach. We're at 4,000 feet, which is the published altitude. And looking pretty good. So what we'll do now is we'll switch the Davtron over here to nav2, and we're looking at nav2 from 112.2, which is Paradise, and we need to be intercepting the 256 radial. That's the point at which we would turn to get onto the ILS. Currently at 241, but we're quite some distance away at this point. Now we've established a new height as well. Let me adjust the mixture here. We'll lean the mixture until the engine starts to get rough. There, and then feed it back in. And we just remain on course now until we pick up that 256 radial, at which point we will turn to a heading of 196. In fact, we'll turn a little bit more than that, because if we were to turn exactly to 196, we would be off to the left of the ILS. So I'm going to go down here and set the new heading hold, not at 196, but about 210. There. And we can kick back and enjoy the scenery once again. Easy peasy, those instruments. The Davtron is very, very powerful for figuring out where you are in relation to a VOR. And the System 20, once you get the hang of it, is actually a really powerful autopilot system. I can see why people like Scott Gentile would use the Cherokees and Comanches and do fairly long-haul flights in them in the real world, because it's such a wonderful aircraft. Don't need to hand fly, but if you do need to relax a little bit or refer to charts, the autopilot is very powerful and very reliable. And that's perfect, absolutely perfect in a little GA aircraft like this. Alright, at 254 degrees, got 2 degrees to go before we intercept Paradise VOR's 256 radial, at which point we're going to go onto the heading hold and retune everything to intercept the ILS. Now, when I reset the radios here to the ILS, the Davtron mode will automatically change. There's our interception. So we're going to go onto heading hold, retune the radios. There's the ILS, retune this one. We'll switch this back onto nav 1 for now, and 2. Now it's in ILS mode. And you can see it's giving us an order of magnitude to turn. So it's saying, with the dash to the right of the number, that the ILS is to our right, which is convenient because we're turning to the right. Let's go ahead and retune this, redial this to 196, which is the heading. 190, 195, ooh, too much. 195, 196-ish there. So it's counting up quite a way here, 18. Now as we turn here through south, that number's going to start counting down. It's very much a countdown until we intercept the ILS. And I do have heading hold set to go past 196, so we can get back on track. We also need to be descending now, so I'm going to come out of altitude hold, reduce the power, and try to establish a 500 foot per minute rate of descent. Just using the power. Let's turn this heading a bit more. Get really back on track here. A little bit too much there in terms of coming off on the power. We want to be at 3,400 when we get to Snake. We're going to go way past that as we are. There we are, so that's 3,500 already. As we come down to 3,400, let me feed in a little bit of pitch control here. As we come down to 3,400, we'll go into altitude hold once again. There you go, it's counting down now. Ooh, trim, trim, trim. There's our 3,400. So for now, we'll go altitude hold and retrim this aircraft. Let the System 20 tell me what it wants. It wants trim up. And we're going to feed in a bit more power now again. I was a little bit too savage in coming off the power there, which is why we had a problem. Still got quite a way to turn. We'll make this turn a little bit more vicious. Trim down. 9. You see, they start counting down now. 8, 7, 6, 3, 2, and 1. So let's turn back now into 196, get ourselves established. That means we're actually on the ILS at this point. Obviously going to pass it a little bit. We're under the glide slope as well. There we go. It's now telling us turn left, which we will do. Not a lot. And as this comes back in line with the ILS, we'll switch this into track high mode. There. So track high, let it follow the ILS. Now at this point we can switch the, we're on nav 2 here. So we're going to switch this to nav 2. We're looking for radials, in this case, from Seal Beach. Now at 60 radial, we want to be at 3,400 feet, and that would be the Snake waypoint. So not long to go now. We'll let the autopilot automatically track the ILS, except for the glide slope. We need to do it ourselves. Looking for 60, and then we're going to be descending down to 2,800 feet, and I want to really get that rate of descent established better this time. That was pretty crazy. There we are. So altitude hold off, ease up on the power, and try to establish a good rate of descent this time. And the next radio we're looking for is the 6.8 radial. We want to be at 2,800 feet on the 6.8 radial. Evening approaching, the lights just came on. You can see we're starting to intercept the glide slope now. And trim the aircraft a little bit, help it out. More trimming, a bit more trimming. We are slightly under the glide slope, which is just fine because we have a fairly shallow rate of descent, which means we will pick up the glide slope very soon. There it is. So trim a bit more now, try to get that 500 foot per minute rate of descent. Ease up on the power of touch. That will help. 65 degrees now from SLI. There's our correct rate of descent. Trim to hold that. 66. Now look at our altitude, 3,000 feet. 66 on the glide slope on the ILS or the localizer. At 68 we should be at 2,800 feet ish. I'm a little bit too high, going to trim a bit more. There we go, 68, we're at 2,900 feet. Not bad at all. The next one we're looking at is the 076 radial, and we want to be at 2,200 feet. Now, because it's such a pretty evening here in Southern California, you can actually see the runway ahead of us. There it is. 71. A little bit high. That's fine. I've increased the rate of descent. You can imagine if this was a foggier day with worse weather, how cool this is. Even without being able to see that runway now, we've established ourselves exactly where we need to be. Really just focusing on the instruments and the autopilot. Or, if you're feeling that way inclined, instruments and manual flight. A little bit high. A bit more trim there. A little bit less power. There's our 76 radial. We should be at 2,200. We are 2,250. We'll keep on descending. The next one is going to be 093 radial, which is 4 miles away from the airport. Trimming now to get back to that 500 foot rate of descent. We are on the glide slope at this point. You can What do you see on the runway? 2 whites and 2 reds beside the runway. Just manually now controlling the rate of descent and the pitch. Those are not necessarily the same thing. Looking for the 093 radial will put us 4.1 miles away from John Wayne International Airport. Try to maintain the aircraft on the glide slope. There's the outer marker light just came on. And that 093 radial is really going to be our final check. To make sure we're on the glide path, we're on the localizer, and we are 4.1 miles away. Again, imagine if this was a lot more cloudy. It'd be very, very useful to know. Delicate adjustments to get back on track with the glide path. We're a little bit low. 090 radial, 91. And again, this is tracking via nav2, which is Seal Beach. So the interception between us and Seal Beach over here. 092 and 093. Well, that was 4.1 miles. 4.1 miles. At this point, we will take over. So the autopilot disconnect switch is down here. Just flick that. You'll get a beep, 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 and a flash, flash, flash. And now it's all on us. So first stage of flaps. Start slowing down. Try to maintain our path on the ILS and the glide slope. At this point, we could switch the Davtron back on over to Nav 1. You can see we're established on the ILS. A little bit high. Still a little bit high. That's fine, rather be high than low. Beautiful landing VFR scenery of the airport now coming into very clear view. And the early evening lights from prepared Southern California from the Rex. Getting really quite high now above the glide slope, so we will ease up on the power. Getting mixture full rich at this point. Let's check the tanks, we'll switch it over once again. There. Now we're a lot better. Slightly off to the left, or to the right I should say. A bit more power. Next stage of flaps. This close to the runway, really causing quite a big deflection in the glide slope. Don't worry about it. Follow the lights and go visual at this point if you wish. A little bit more power just to ease the rate of descent now as we intercept the glide path. And final stage flaps. And we're looking lovely. It's got a nice gentle landing here. So pull back, bring that nose up where it should be for the landing, and glide our way down to the runway. Again, flying with a joystick, which is unusual for me, but I think we got it. And we're down. So that's it. All I need to do is get off this runway. Hopefully that was useful. As I said, the A2A aircraft, especially the Accusim ones, they come with that 100-page manual, which is really exhaustive and wonderful, but there's a lot more depth because behind the scenes, A2A do go to excruciating levels of detail in modeling all the equipment in the aircraft as well. So do spend some time, look up those Bendix King radio stacks, the transponder, the Davtron, the System 20 autopilot, find the manuals online and have a read. They're a lot of fun and a big eye-opener as well. You'll learn quite a lot of stuff. As always, my name is Froogle. Thank you so very much for watching. Until next time, I'll see you all very soon.